15 creepy things you didn't know the moon does to the Earth. Part 1. If you are brand new to our channel, we invite you to take a moment to subscribe. Just click on the lit red button as well as the gray bell. Why the bell? Well, it will let you know every time we post a new video. 1. Seasonal harvest. Since its first publication in 1792, the Old Farmer's Almanac has been a widely consulted guide that predicts weather forecasts, moon cycles and tide charts. Based on Newtonian gravitation laws explaining the effect the moon has on the tides, something called lunar planting gained popularity. The idea was that the water in the Earth's core was at its highest when the tides were highest during a full moon. This created a moist soil that was suitable for planting and sprouting seeds. The amount of moisture retained by the plants was at an all-time high during the full moon, resulting in more prosperous crops. To this day, farmers still consult the almanac to schedule the best times for planting. 2. Predatory hunting habit. Lions and other predators typically hunt their prey during the night hours. Their phenomenal night vision allows them to hone in on their targets and surprise their unsuspecting victims. Despite greater visibility when the moon is full, lions are less successful with hunting during this time. Reduced prey activity is the main reason for this decrease in success. This could mean bad luck for humans. Due to the slow hunt, the daytime hours immediately following the full moon are most dangerous for prey, animal or human. You do not want to cross paths with a hungry lion who hasn't been able to successfully snack for more than a day. A study based on lions attacking humans in Tanzania was conducted over a 20-year period to see if there was a correlation with the full moon. 2/3 of the reported attacks during the full moon period resulted in the human prey being attacked and eaten. 3. Pet injuries. Yet another medical moon mystery brings us to the topic of pets. No, we're not referring to the macabre pet cemetery depicted in Stephen King's famed novel, although the following statistics are definitely creepy. Veterinarians working at emergency clinics for domestic pets have reported increases in injured canine and feline friends during fuller moon periods. Inexplicably, the increases surged to a whopping 25% in some cities. Most vets chalk this up to the pets spending more time outside when the sky is brightest, resulting in a natural spike in accidents. Others, however, believe that the full moon makes animals go a little loony, causing more recklessness and injuries. 4. Our pleasure drive. The correlation between the moon and our sexual habits has its roots in tribal practices. Most full moon rites revolved around ancient beliefs about fertility and conception. The moon has long been prayed to in order to increase a woman's fertility and a man's virility. Tribes in Africa, Bushmen in Australia and Eskimos in Alaska all held similar beliefs that conception was guaranteed during a full moon. Modern-day lore romanticizes a full moon, thereby increasing the frequency of hookups during this period. Fables aside, there have actually been studies to support the increase in sexual activity during the full moon. German psychologist Bernhard Klausner monitored the sexual habits of 28 healthy men over a period of 3 years. His findings? A significant 74% of their activity fell within the periods when the moon was full. 5. The Gregorian Calendar. Internationally recognized as the most used calendar, the Gregorian has been referenced since its induction by Pope Gregory XIII in 1582. The introduction of the calendar was meant to iron out some discrepancies in the previously used Julian calendar. Majorly influenced by the Christian Church, the Gregorian sought to place the Easter holiday at a date where it was historically celebrated by the Church. Church aside, the calendar was mostly based on celestial activity. Taking into account the Earth's rotation on its own axis, the Earth's complete rotation around the Sun, and the Moon's rotation around the Earth, created some calculation complexities. For ages, mathematicians were stumped on how to accurately define time in a linear fashion, based on planetary and satellite movement. Although a typical lunar cycle lasts roughly 29.5 days, the months were originally based on the moon phases, which is why our months range from 28 to 31 days in length. 6. Surgical outcome. Ayurveda and Eastern religions have long sworn by the healing powers of the moon. Until recently, Western practitioners would shrug off the impact that the moon has on our body's ability to remedy itself. Recently though, studies conducted on the correlation between cardiovascular surgery and recovery times has shown a significant boost in patients' amelioration during the full moon. Further, the rate of death following emergency surgeries around this period would dramatically lower. What causes this phenomenon? Research would suggest that the higher atmospheric energies are mirrored in the patient's bodies, causing a stronger resistance to disease and cellular breakdown. The full moon literally charges out bodies with energy to help combat ailments. 7. The laying and hatching of turtle eggs. Strolling along the beach during a full moon is a treat to the senses. Depending on your location, you might be lucky to witness one of nature's most mystifying processes: sea turtles incubating their eggs in the sand. Mother sea turtles make their way to shore during a full moon, when the tide is high and visibility is increased. They dig a deep hole, usually far enough from the water's edge, where they then lay as many as 200 eggs. The eggs remain buried in the sand for close to a full month. They begin to hatch just as a new full moon emerges in the sky. So how do they know that it's a full moon? Scientists have concluded that the baby turtles can sense the pull of the moon and the higher tides. Since the water is closer to their nest, they have a higher chance of survival if they make their escape during the full moon. Furthermore, there are less predators roaming the beaches at night, so the likelihood of being snapped up by a seagull is diminished. The odds are against them, though. Roughly 1 to 4% of the baby turtles survive into adulthood, while the majority perish before making it back to sea. 8. Visibility at night. The sun is credited as being the brightest light in our cosmic neighborhood, for good reason. Despite being close to 150 million kilometers away from Earth, its size in relation to our planet is responsible for the intensity of its brightness. The sun is so large that, if it were hollow, roughly 65 million moons could fit inside. The moon, despite being much smaller, plays a big role in how we see at night. Humans and most animals have pretty good night vision, but what we don't realize is that the moon is responsible for much of this when we are outside. When the moon is new and almost invisible in the night sky, everything seems darker, except for the stars, which seem to shine brighter. Contrarily, a full moon seems to blind out the stars and light up the sky. If you've ever gone camping or walked in the countryside during different moon phases, you can attest that the moon absolutely plays a role in visibility.